Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode. I know it's been a very, very long time since the two of us have sat down and talked about marriage and other topics, but today is a very interesting topic, something that I think both of us have been thinking about, something that a lot of you have been thinking about is why are so many Muslims single, right? And, we can talk about a lot of different reasons. We can talk from a very broad perspective. We can go from a very narrow perspective. We can talk about guys. We can talk about girls. So I think there's a lot to talk about. So I know, Abed, this has been on your mind for a very long time. So maybe we can start it off with whatever's been on your mind.
Yeah. So I'm the one who wanted to push this topic, right? I really want to talk about this because I'm not sure about you. I'm sure especially you, actually. A lot of us, when we enter the ages that we're in, alhamdulillah, me and you have been married for a while. Obviously, you even longer. People know that we've been married for a while, and we're not well known in the community, but we're known in the community, and we have a lot of connections, I guess. So a lot of people have been coming to us to look out for them, right? Yeah. And I've entered that world of being like a rich uncle now, where people are reaching out to me to hey, look out for me. I'm looking for this, that. Yeah. So I've entered this world, right? And I actually look forward to helping people out, and if it works out, that'd be awesome. Yeah. But unfortunately, all the rishtas I've tried to connect and try to work with Nabila, my wife, and other people, a lot of times it doesn't work out. Almost 100% it doesn't work out. Yeah. And I'm thinking what is going wrong? I know the woman, I know the man. Yeah. I know that they'd be a good match. And then when they let them go and they talk, something just falls apart for some reason. Yeah. So it's been happening a lot lately. I definitely want to get your take to see if you've been feeling the same way, if people come to you. What's the issue? What's going on? And do you agree with me?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you. I think the fact that you have so many individuals, 30 plus, who are single, tells you already, right? The average age of marriage was 22, 25. Wow. Now it's gotten up to 30, 32. So 10 years have changed in terms of the average age of marriage. And you find more and more people, men and women, who are just single and they're okay with being single for the rest of their life. And it's almost like opportunities were given up, in the very beginning, in their 20s and, late 20s, where they might have gotten good rishtas, they might have been compatible, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. And I think there's a lot why. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, right? And so, from a very expansionist view or a very broad view, I don't think that the society really encourages marriage, right? It encourages you to get a degree, to concentrate on yourself, become, a baller, or become a boss babe, or whatever the case might be. And what ends up happening is that by the time you finish school, you're 27, 28, and then you're getting fresh in your career. And when you open your eyes to the world and you're 32 years old, you realize that, okay, a lot of people have gotten married already. Maybe you're looking at divorces. Maybe you are so stuck in your ways that you are almost looking for a job description. It's you're applying for a job rather than trying to make a human connection in moving forward. So I would say from a broader perspective, the society, our Muslim culture, the Desi culture really doesn't encourage marriage. Marriage is not number one. It's career number one.
Yeah. No, you're so right, because the culture now is that we're pushing to serve ourselves versus the culture of serving others. Yeah. And I think that leads to us being more selfish and obviously being more lonely as time goes on. So let me ask you, let's start with women first, ladies first, right?
Yeah, sure.
So what are the common themes that you've been seeing as to why women are single, right? Muslim women, they're practicing Islam, right? Yeah. They have good relationship with their family. They're level-headed, usually for the most part. Yeah. So what could be the reason why they're single for so long?
Sure. And I just want to start by saying that there are many women who want to get married, who are trying to get married. They're doing everything they can. They put themselves out there. They're going to these events. They're on these apps. But for whatever reason, Allah hasn't written it for them. So we're not talking about those individuals necessarily who are trying to get married. And it's not their fault necessarily. But there are other sisters, I would say, who are putting career first. And I think that's really the number one reason here. I think the number one reason that a lot of women are single is that they put career first. And it's unfortunate, right? Because we've realized that the people who die at the end of their life, what they miss most is the relationships. Yeah. That's the number one defining factor of happiness is your relationships, your marriage, your children, those types of things. And the more and more you put it off and you think career is going to be the one to fulfill it, I think that's where sisters are losing out a little bit. Number one. I think number two is it's become very superficial, right? Unfortunately, Instagram, social media makes you think that every guy is 6 foot, fit, has a wonderful job. Everybody makes six figures. Yeah. But when you look at the statistics of it, the reality is that only a certain percentage of men meet that criteria. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's another thing, is that unrealistic expectations. And it's almost like this superficialness of, I want to make sure that the way that he approaches me has to be in this particular way. And it's like this fine line between, okay, he's too lovey-dovey or he's not interested enough. And it's almost like we want like this fairy tale exact replication of what we've dreamed about to be in our spouses, rather than being realistic and understanding that human beings are going to be flawed. No one's going to be perfect. You're not going to get everything that you want. So I think that social media has really impacted sisters in terms of what they're looking for marriage. I think the other thing too is that I believe that college is one of the best places to find your spouse.
Yeah, that's a prime.
Yeah, 100%. And because you're so caught up in college and you're not even looking, there's a lot of sisters who don't even look into rishtas while they're in college. Yeah. And, and I can keep on going on and on, but I'll let you jump in here to see.
No, you're speaking fast right there. And the college thing is important because I know for men too, like, I'm sure you felt the same way. Yeah. After you graduated from undergrad, when you enter the workforce, you're now around like 50-year-old aunties, like and like uncles, like you're around like old people now, right? And you're like, oh my god, the 4 years I was around people my age, and like that's when I was like just doing my own thing, chilling with the boys, and then you realize that, you know what, I'm like, now I'm not around any women my age anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, how am I gonna find someone now? Yeah. But going back to the call out you mentioned regarding how women have high expectations, like the certain women, is also the root of that is them thinking that they're better than they are too. Like, they're not, I think, self aware of where they stand in the market field, right? So I think women who are like out of shape and like not very attractive think they're like 10 out of 10, right? The girls nowadays think like if they're saying 10 out of 10, that's them being confident. No, that's you being delusional. Oh my God. Okay, you're not 10 out of 10, dog. Like, come on, man, no one is. Okay, they think
I'm in trouble, bro.
Dude, I'm down. I don't care. That's why I'm doing this. Yeah, it's like if you're saying you're 10 out of 10, that's you saying like I'm confident. No, that's you being delusional. You have to be self-aware so we know what you're worth, right? So I've seen that a lot of times, like when me and my wife are getting like people who are interested in women or in men, and women are asking for random things. They have the most randomest red flags. Like they have random, like you would think that the red flag should be like someone who doesn't pray, or someone who doesn't drink, things like that. Yeah. But there's people. I'm gonna say it. Yeah, go ahead. It's a very specific example. I won't say the name. Yeah. It's like there's one woman that we know who said no to a man because he doesn't like to travel. Oh my God. Yeah. Like I get that they may think that's like a big deal because they like to travel, you know, and you want a husband that obviously is enthusiastic about it. Yeah. But think about it like this, okay? Usually the reason why men don't travel often when they're growing up is because they don't have money to spend to travel. Yeah. Okay? Men will eventually, hopefully, like to travel once they get more money. Yeah. Right? And like you have to think that there's things that you'll eventually have molded as marriage goes on. Yeah. So like, my question to you next, before I get to men.
I still have some.
Oh, please. Oh, go on, please. Okay.
No. So another thing I feel like, on the women's side, and we're gonna get on men. Please don't get this wrong, right? I'm gonna hard on that. So women, I think the other thing too is that what they put forth is what they believe is important, rather than what a guy is looking for. So for example, when it comes to education, right? Yeah. Like, I have a master's degree and I work for Google and I make this much and blah, blah, blah. And so I think that a lot of sisters, alhamdulillah, they've accomplished a lot, but that's what they're putting forward to their potential husband. And I don't think the husband cares about that, right? At the end of the day, you see all these memes and all these statements. I don't have to repeat it, but, a guy's not going to care if you are a waitress or a CEO, right? It's going to be more about your personality, kindness, the way you nurture, how family oriented you are, how dini you are, how, agreeable, how you make them feel like that peace, that, tranquility. Those are going to be the things that I think that a man's going to get attracted to. I don't see any man, or I shouldn't say, majority of men are not going to be attracted to the degrees, and your accomplishments.
And I think the men that are attracted to that are men you don't want. Because the men that actually want women who are that like high in like the corporate world or are making a lot of money are the ones that want you to pay for everything. Okay? So you don't want a man that's down for you to have all these degrees and have this money because they're gonna make you the man of the relationship.
Yeah, no, that's
like
true.
becoming the breadwinner, right?
Yeah.
So the men that don't care about that and look for just you as a person are the men that you want, as toxic as that may sound to people.
Yeah, and I think that we're looking at marriage to fulfill more than what it was meant to be filled, right? And I think that men and women, right? But I think especially from a women's perspective, you know, I get it, right? You've been very, you know, in a Desi household, Hyderabadi household, they always say shadi ke baad, shadi ke baad, shadi ke baad. Yeah. Like, okay, you want to travel? All right, shadi ke baad. You want to, you know, buy that thing? Shadi ke baad. So I understand from a girl's perspective that sometimes their key to freedom is marriage, or their key to do the things that they want is marriage. But I think we've skewed it, right? Like, when you look at what marriage was before, marriage was a necessity. Like, if you didn't have marriage, you were unsafe. You could get robbed. You can get killed. I mean, and then that's changed over time. But now we've come to a point where marriage is looked at as something that's going to fulfill that emptiness in your heart. And we need to understand that only Allah can fill that. Your husband, your relationship, nothing is going to fill that void of that completeness that you're looking for in a husband. And I think that we're kind of plugging the hole with the wrong thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I'm ready to go to roast men when you are, because it leads me to like me roasting men too.
Yeah.
Is I think one big reason why is because men are expecting too much out of their wives too, high expectations. It goes both ways. Yeah. Right. What I think the issue with both genders, men and women, is that they expect that their spouse to be like their parent. Mm-hmm. Like, bro, like I'm not gonna love for my wife, for example, I'm not gonna love her the way her dad loves her. Yeah. I'm sorry, but our love is 100% conditional. Right? Whoever says love is unconditional is book loss, okay? The only love that's unconditional is the love between like a parent and a child. Sure. Right? I 100% love my wife with conditions. Okay? Yo, 100%, bro. Come on. Like, I think everyone agrees with that, but it's like too harsh to say. Right? Yeah. So men should stop thinking that their wife should be like their mom. It's not gonna happen, bro. Yeah. Like your wife views you as someone that she should respect. Your mom doesn't view you that way. She wants to spoil you and baby you, right? Yeah. So don't expect your wife to be like that. She's not gonna like be all lovey-dovey the way your mom is. Okay? You have to cater for her, to take care of her, right? Yeah. So that's definitely one thing too. And then for men too, I think I want you to go off on this too. Is like men like are just lacking conversation skills.
Dude, 100%.
Right? I want you to talk about this more, but I've seen that like really weird. Like there's been things where my wife said about friends and how she had conversation with her like future rishtas and how like guys just don't know how to talk. Like they think like you trying to be like fake alpha is what game is, which is not really the case.
It's not game at all, dude.
That's not game at all.
Yeah, they're just following like that red pill stuff online. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I can go off on guys. There's so many problems with guys in the sense that women are earning more than men. Women are going to college. They're getting higher educations. They're getting better jobs. You know, in terms of fitness, in terms of, like you said, communication skills. Yeah. So I think the reason why men are single is not necessarily a mindset. It could be a mindset, but I think it's just lack of effort, lack of growing, ambition. Having a growing mindset, right? Like there's so many guys who are unfit, fat as hell. I don't know if it's hell, but yeah. You know, so fat. Too late. You know, no attachment to the masjid. Yeah. They have no aspirations to like continue growing or making more money. They're totally content being at home and being mama's boys and having everything taken care of by their mom. And some of that is our parents' fault. Yeah. But, you know, at the end of the day, responsibility lies with the individual. Exactly. And a lot of these guys are not even marriage material. Yeah. Right? And I think that women almost have to step into that role to take over the lack of what men are doing. And it's because of, you know, the things that they watch, the things that they do, the drugs that they take. You know, all of that I think is leading to so many men who are just bums. Yeah. And not worthy of getting married or taking care of another woman. Like you said, they basically want a mom to marry. Yeah. You know, they're not looking for a wife. They're not looking at it as it's my job to support, protect, and provide for this person. And that's going to be my showing of my masculinity. Yeah. but rather they're doing it in a way that, okay, I just have to move on. I have to fill my physical urges. I have to fulfill my physical urges, and I need somebody to cook and clean for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I believe that a lot of men are looking at marriage.
Yeah, and that's not gonna fly. Like, as much as like you could say that you want that,
Yeah.
there's ways for you to go about it in a more like professional way, in a way that you still provide value to them.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to like it. Obviously, that's what all guys want at the end of the day, and girls just want someone to provide like financially, stuff like that. Those are what like the foundation of what we all want.
Yeah.
But beyond that, that's not something that you could get respect for. I think that's what we need to do is like find a wife that will respect you, not just you as a wallet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So that's probably one of the other reasons too is that we should, as real men, should be embracing the challenge of women getting careers and getting higher degrees. We should be embracing that challenge. Like, hey, this Rista I'm talking to has a master's or is making this much money, instead of thinking that she's masculine.
Yeah.
Take the challenge and make more than her.
Yeah, make more than exactly.
Yeah. That should be the ambition that us
Yes.
guys should have. Is that
Yeah.
we should embrace competition. That makes us all better.
Yes.
And women are joining the competition. So the more the merrier. The more people are in the competition, the better that we will be.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not saying men should compete against.
And
I know that's not what you're saying
yeah.
necessarily, but compete against yourself, compete against other men.
Yes.
And don't just slide and be like, all right, she makes too much money. All right, too bad. I'm out of this.
Yeah.
Or that type of perspective when it comes to men. So we could talk. There's a lot more to say, I think, on the girls and the guy side. But anything else on the guy side?
I mean, that's the main things that I've seen so far. Unless there's anything else I'm missing.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, right, is we need to make sure that men or women, you should have your
Men or women, right?
men or women.
Okay.
What did I say?
Men are women. I don't know.
Men or women, right? They need to have their non-negotiables, of course. You need to have your non-negotiables. All right, if you're a girl and you want your husband to make a certain amount of money, all right, cool. If you're a guy and you want your wife to look a certain way, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right? All those things are fine, but when you're coming to these like periphery things and making them your red flags, that's, I think, a very big problem. And the other thing too, I would say, is our community has done a very horrible job of trying to foster marriage, right? Our masajid have not done much to foster marriage, to have people meet in a halal way. No one's saying that you have to be sitting at the same table and then you're going to become friends and whatever. Like, again, college, right? Like, I always go back to MSA.
Yeah.
MSA is one of the best marriage tools and solutions there is out there, because you are working together in a professional manner. You get to observe them, you get to see them, you get to see their friends, you get to see how they interact with other men. You get to see all that, and then, it's so much easier to get married. Versus now in the masajid, you have different buildings for men and women, which whatever, your opinion is on that. But how do you expect our men and women to get married, especially when men and women these days do not want arranged marriages? They don't want their parents to find them anybody. And so what solutions do we have? We have swipe right, swipe left.
Yeah.
What else do we really have?
Yeah, no, that's such a tough one, because obviously MSA has generated a lot of weddings and a lot of marriages for sure, right?
Yeah.
And there's a negative like stigma to MSAs, like there's this like a place where there's a bunch of mingling going on. It's a bad environment.
Yeah.
But like, what else could we do? Like, what's a better solution to that? Like, apps, it seems very, as you mentioned, objectifying.
Yeah, it is.
Right,
very
swiping
objectifying.
right on a human being is crazy. That's so insane.
Left, bro. Swipe left, bro.
Swipe left. Obviously,
Deny.
That's insane. Deny, because you saw someone's face. Like, there's like a whole background that you're saying
it takes
no to.
1 second, bro. You're like literally doof, 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 doof.
And no, I was in it too. So keep it real. Like before I got married, I was on the apps too. I was on Musmatch and Minder and all that stuff, right? And what's crazy about
Dude, I don't think I knew that, but yeah.
No? Yeah, I was in there for a bit too. Yeah. And what's crazy about Musmatch, was actually really frustrating to me, is they had a feature where men and women could like just block their pictures. Okay. And like the person who was viewing the profile could just see the bio data.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, no guy is gonna say yes to a bio data. I'm like, bro, we gotta see the face. Like, come on, man. Yeah, so I was on it for a bit. So
man, that's my whole thing, man. It's like a job interview. You're like looking at a resume, and I get it, right? Like, in the Rishta process. But what's different, I believe, about the Rishta process is that somebody knows both people, and they believe that these two individuals make a good match.
Yeah.
But the biodata includes a freaking picture, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And now what's happening is that in these apps, it's like, okay, you can set filters.
Yeah.
all right, so the filter is dude has to be 6 foot, dude has to make six figures, and from India, from this particular place, that so like if you're filtering out like 99% of the men or 99% of the women, what do you expect? Like the odds are not in your favor.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think the most classic way is the way that we don't necessarily like is but like through connections and through networking, man. That's how I found my wife, alhamdulillah. We had a mutual friend and a mutual like community member, and then they thought we'd be a good fit, and alhamdulillah it worked out, right?
Exactly.
So I think we have to embrace the old school traditional ways now, man. Like we've had these apps for a few years now, and somehow there's still a marriage crisis, right?
The men I'll go back to men, right?
Yeah.
Another thing is men don't know how to approach women, right? Now I was just talking to somebody today that it's almost like the women are now expected to approach the men.
Wow.
Whereas before it was always the guy who would make the first move, and I'm not talking about it from like a Western dating perspective. Just first move as in, all right, send your sister to go talk, or send whatever initiation process there is, but the guy needs to initiate. Like if you find somebody who's attractive, or you see them in the community, you want to marry them, whatever, make a move. And I think it goes back to that whole communication thing that guys have no game whatsoever.
Yeah.
And there was this other like process of somebody that I know, and the guy is just like bragging about how smart he is and how he did on the MCAT and how he did on this, and it's like
so cringe,
bro. You have no game whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to that?
Seriously, in game, what we mean by game is not like rizzing up.
Yeah,
it's
flirting.
Like, it means just having a conversation.
Yeah, having a conversation and knowing what to say when, and like making with being respectful, making the girl like you. Like I don't know how to explain it, but you're not doing anything inappropriate, but like the way you act, the way you talk, the way that you respond. Yeah. There's a way that if you exude that confidence,
for sure,
that the other side's going to be attracted to that.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's a tough thing, man. Because when we're growing up, like in the Muslim Desi community we live in, like we're going from like not allowing to speak to women at all. Don't look at any. Yeah. And then the next day your mom's on you about why aren't you married yet? I was like, bro, where's like the transition, bro? Like I'm going from not talking, looking at the carpet all day, and then all of a sudden like, why aren't you married yet? Yeah, like such a abrupt transition. Yeah. So like, what do we do growing up? Like, how do you get better with conversation with women, but still being respectful and still keeping like distance between them?
No, but that's what your sisters are for. That's what your like your family. I think that's the other thing too, is that yes, we kind of blame the cultures to say, okay, we were all isolated, we weren't allowed to talk to men, we were allowed to talk to women. Yeah. You still had women in your life, you still had. I don't understand, why do we have to treat them so differently? Like, they're still your sister in Islam, right? At the end of the day, I think what we miss is that we look at everybody as targets and potential spouses, that we forget that they're just Muslim sisters at the end of the day. Yeah. And to just be normal and regular people, just like you would with your siblings, or, I know some families are, the guys and girl cousins are close, for example. Those are all like training ground almost for you to be able to speak to someone. That's a good point. And I think that shyness, sometimes that shyness in a guy, in the way that they're nervous or whatever, I don't, you can't blame them for that. So I'm not saying you're going to be able to get rid of your nervousness when you're talking to women, but there's still like this tactfulness that you need to have in terms of saying what you need to say at the right time, in the right way, not boasting about yourself, but still getting across what you want to get across. For sure. And it all goes back to communication. Yeah. And exuding that confidence.
No, I think that's so true about taking advantage of the women that are in your life. Yeah. Like if you have a sister, dude, like you have no excuse to not have like being able to talk to women. Yeah. Like because you're not trying to flirt with women, you're trying to have a conversation with them, right? So having a sister and a cousin around should be the main, actually your first probably point of contact to find someone is through the family that you have in your khanan, right? They know you better than you, like they know you more than anyone else can. Yes. Right? And at the end of the day, man, I know this is kind of boring to say, but like our parents are actually smarter than we give them credit for. No, they do. Like
they lived through a 50-year marriage.
Honestly, man, honestly, like and like we think that they're old school. They don't know what men and women go through nowadays. But bro, they're going through the same stuff as us, but obviously just worded differently. Yeah. Like it's just different, maybe magnitude. But the advice that your parents have is actually pretty valuable, man. Yeah. Like there's things that 5 years in of my marriage, I appreciate what Amma Baba said and what they've been through with their marriage. Yes. Right? Yes, like yes. There's been some times where like there's situations I've had with my wife where I'm like so shook and like I can't believe that just happened. And I think about like something that happened with Baba and like it happened the same thing with him. And I think about how he reacted, right? I wish I could share stories, but I shouldn't probably. But no, it's good stories. Like you have more sympathy for your parents too. So like I think incorporating them in your Rishta process is actually beneficial too. Yeah. But I've also seen with guys, I have an exact Rishta example for a guy who was having his mom too involved in the process. And like, would he even allow himself to say that he thinks this girl's attractive?
Yeah. Being a jag, bro.
Yeah, I was like, bro, just...
like, be a man.
Seriously. Like, you have to at least say that she's attractive, man. Like, you don't need your mom's approval to say that she's attractive or not. Yeah. So, like, I think there's got to be some initiative that men have to take too, man. Yeah. Like, that literally happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I was like, bro, yeah, let me talk to my mom. I was like, bro, what do you mean? It's the picture I sent you, man. Just say yes or no if you're down, you're interested at least. I'm not asking you to go to your house yet.
No, seriously. Yeah. Seriously. And one other thing I would say is that if somebody recommends a rishta to you, I think you owe it to yourself to give it a chance. Yep. Right? Like, it's so different than matching with somebody online. It's very different compared to somebody saying, hey, bro, I think that you and her would be a good match. Give it a shot. I think you owe it to yourself to give it a chance.
Yeah, for sure. And you should think that the person that's sending you that rishta is someone that knows you well. Yeah. It wouldn't just send you some like bakwas rishta.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
No, I definitely agree with that too. I think a good strategy that me and my wife were talking about when we come across people who are looking, or is to like no matter how bad the conversation is going with someone, at least go. There's like 100 question list that we saw like an article about that me and Nabila used. Yeah. Right. So I think what we should push people to do is like no matter how you feel about the first 5-10 questions of their answers, just go through the 100 questions first before saying yes or no to that person to move on. Because that like gives you like a thorough like look. And someone's answer in like the 79th question could make up for their really crappy answer in the third question. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Hopefully, maybe. Right? Yeah. I think this had to be more like bardash more. Like don't just say no just because someone doesn't like has like a pimple on their like under their like left eye or something. But
that's permanent, dude.
Yeah, that's true. Then get out. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, man. I've been thinking about this for a while, man. Just like why so many people are single. Like when I was going through my rishta process, like I didn't think it was like as hard. But there's people who are 35, 30 who are looking like when they're 20s. Yeah, bro. And may make it easy for them, but they're still like. Still single, still struggling, and like not even to the point of them talking to someone either. Like they're like starting from square one. Yeah, I'm like, bro, that's wild.
You know, I think our ways of getting married were very different. Mine was a love marriage, right? So, you know, it was very different the way that I got married. Like I had to fight to get married and tell my parents and convince them. And, you know, I got married at like 21, 22 years old. Yeah. So I understand that I have a very different view of it. And, you know, quote unquote game, right, had an impact in the way that I got married. But again, I think it is still important. I think it's still important that give yourself a chance to have a quote unquote love marriage, right? In the sense that love in a halal way, right? That okay, you find somebody attractive, or whatever compatible, and you connect the dots somehow. You know, send somebody to go talk to them. Hey, you know, do you like me? Yes or no? You know, like you know, like old school a little bit, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you know.
That's how young he was when he got married.
Yeah. And then I can understand differently for the people who are actually like looking and you know their whole process might be very, very different. Yeah. But you have to put yourself out there. You can't expect to sit at home and some Prince Charming is gonna, you know, show up at your door and say, hey, marry me. Yeah. You know, that's not gonna happen. It's not Aladdin, you know?
For sure. Yeah, no, that's so true. And like guys, as much as we don't think about this often too, is that we need to get respect from men too, so that more women would want you. Like as weird as that may sound, like I think just you being more like respected in the community and known in the community will have downstream impacts too. It does. And like I think women will follow that too. Yeah. And one thing I'm sure, so with Oasis, right? Yeah. I'm sure even with these like few years that you've even had Oasis running, how many couples have you like seen that's been starting to talk and have marriage, right? So like even like just volunteering. Yeah. I think especially for people who graduated from undergrad like me and enter the workforce or being around Budilog all the time, like I think next best step is to probably volunteer. Yeah. Like those are the people where you have the same like values. Yep. And then also people around your age who have obviously are Muslim and are caring too, right? People who are volunteering obviously are caring people. Yep. Those are the people you want anyway.
Exactly. It's like that's exactly one of the theories behind Oasis, right? Is that it's like a post MSA, right? Yeah. In the sense that what was it about MSA, like I said before, is that you're working together for something halal, something for the sake of Allah, and you're working together in a very, respectful manner. And that in itself will, breed, marriages and that type of thing. So there's natural setting there. You have the natural crossing of individuals when you attend programs. So even if you're a volunteer, you're an attendee, just having more connections and more networking will help you get married, like you said. Yeah. That so much of marriage is networking.
For sure.
And Oasis, inshallah, our goal is that this is a place where people can network and meet each other. And even if you're not meeting the other spouse directly, right? You're not meeting the wife or the husband directly through Oasis necessarily. But it's like, hey, bro, you get to know this guy. And it's like, oh, man, he's such a good guy. I would love him for my sister or for my cousin. Yeah. It's really these secondary connections that we found have been very successful through Oasis. Is not like some guy and girl see each other, they fall in love, they start talking, they get married. That's not usually how it works. It's more so, it was some connection because of Oasis helped them get married.
For sure. That's amazing, man. That's like a benefit of Oasis and all these third spaces and volunteering opporenities for all of us to do. Yes. Gotta take advantage of it, man.
No, 100%.
And I could talk about this forever, man.
I mean, going back to like, okay, anything else from like the sister side, the brother side, community side. I mean, there's so many ways to kind of address or impact this issue, and I know we're not going to solve it, but education, right? I think another thing too is that our expectations of marriage are skewed, and I do think that we need to take it upon ourselves to learn marriage, right? We haven't been trained growing up to be good husbands and to be good wives, and I probably said this in hundreds of videos already, but we, instead of learning how to be good career men and career women, we should be trained on how to be good men and women, and that means to be a good husband and a good wife. Part of being a man is being a husband, part of being a woman is being a wife. Sure. And I think that training and that mindset instilling in our children is just not there. Right? For like sure. You said, all of a sudden you're like 22 years old, never talked about marriage, never talked about women, never talked about anything. And then, okay, you're 22 years old, 25 years old. Why aren't you married?
For sure.
Right? It needs to start from young.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think education, you're right. Because you finish like undergrad and grad school doesn't mean that you're ready for a spouse.
Yeah.
Right? That's like one lane you're covering.
Exactly.
Because you're covering like maybe the financial aspect of things.
Yeah.
But you still got no game. Like, you still know how to talk to people.
No emotional intelligence.
Yeah, man. Like, even especially doctors, bro. Yeah. Doctors, oh my God. If I'm in doctor circles, man, all I talk about is, like, residency, LECOM, resident rotations, all these, like, random acronyms. Because they don't know how to talk about anything else. Yeah. So, like, that's because you're in med school, you're making good money, doesn't mean that you're qualified either, man. Yeah. No, and, like, I'm not sure. I don't have many doctors in my circle. Maybe you do. Yeah. But I know that's like the very common field people go to, especially with your desi. Yeah. Like if you're a doctor, they may have like an inflated ego too, thinking that all girls want them. Yeah. So that could be dangerous too. That's probably why they're single too for a long time. Yeah. One, because you're studying all day. Yep. And second, because you probably think that you're like this big shot dude because you're a doctor. Yeah. And now girls love you. Yeah. But little do you know, it's actually their parents that love you, not the girls themselves.
That's a good point, yeah.
So you're not going to marry the parents, you're going to marry the girl.
Yeah, that's true.
And the girls, I feel like, I don't know, have you seen girls that are like really pushy about doctors now?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of women right now who their life goal is to marry a rich dude, right?
Rich dude.
And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that rich guy, but on top of that, XYZ. But here's another reality, right, is that for a guy, if he's 30, 32, he finishes residency, he works, he's still, it's going to be not the end of the world for him to try to get married, right? And again, I'm not saying as a sister, if you're over 30, you're not going to get married. But what I'm trying to say, it becomes harder, after age 30 for men a little bit, women maybe a little bit more so. You can blame whoever you want to blame for that. I think it's a reality. And I think that's another issue is that the training of a man, here's another thing, right, is that, okay, a man is supposed to provide, they need to have emotional intelligence, they need to be able to control their anger, they need to be good Muslims, they need to be family oriented, but a wife, right, what they bring to a marriage from a stereotypical perspective is going to be stability, it's going to be nurturingness, bringing peace, bringing good vibes, whatever, smiling and like being nurturing, taking care, that's not, it's going to be very difficult for you to have those skills if you've been studying, 24 hours a day for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you balance like career aspirations and marriage aspirations. And women unfortunately have so much burden on their shoulders that they feel like they have to be the best in the career, and they have to be the best wife.
Yeah.
But I don't know if those two can really happen at the same time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
man. I think it's a good idea. I think what women could do if they have a desire to be ambitious about something is to perhaps channel it towards education or Islamic education, right? If you have to feel like a direction of being ambitious about something, which is very fair, which is awesome. Maybe channeling it towards learning about Islam more, because like think of, for us right now, like me and my wife, right? She was in IT. She had a good job. Yeah. Like for the first few years of we were married, she had a good IT job.
Yeah.
And then with 2 kids, like we have no choice but for her to quit.
Yeah.
And now all those years of her working hard to get the certs and getting the experience in careers, now it's like that's done because she's a break now because the kids are first.
Yeah.
So like that's what I hope women realize is like obviously your education is awesome, like your career is great, but there's gonna be a time where you have no choice but to choose one.
Yeah.
Either you have attention with the kids or attention with the career.
Yeah.
So which one do you really want to choose? And women are gonna regret not choosing the latter.
But then again, it goes back to the guy, because if the guy isn't growing and the guy isn't hustling, and he creates a circumstance where his wife has to work, then part of the blame goes to the husband there.
But what does it mean by having to work? It's another question, another topic almost. It's like our standards are so high where we think not having a 5-bedroom single family house is something and now I have to work.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to work. You if you guys chill in townhouse for the rest of your lives, you're not gonna die.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a whole other conversation too. It's like what does it mean for us to say that we both have to work?
Yeah.
Does it mean like a vacation internationally every year? We have to lower our standards there too, man.
You're right.
Like now, like there's people who will be jealous of you making 6 figures, and now in our community, 6 figures is basically you're broke.
Yeah, and 6 figures is like the standard now.
Yeah, that's insane, bro. Like 6 figures used to be the dream back in the day, and now 6 figures is like the minimum.
Yeah.
And even that's not cutting it, and that's our fault. I know we could blame economy and stuff like that, but it's on us having too higher standards, man.
That's true.
And trying to keep up with their neighbor.
No, that's true.
Yeah, that's another topic too that I could definitely rant about.
But okay, let's kind of reining it in and wrapping it up, inshallah. Anything else to add in terms of why are Muslims single? If you had to kind of wrap it up and present it.
Yeah, I think just the culture that we live in is to serve yourself before serving others.
Very individualistic.
I think that's what it is. Like I think us having inflated egos and having people serve us is what is bringing us to our doom.
Yeah, and what I would say too is that we have not, the formula that Islam gives us, I think we've put to the side. That true success comes from following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said that an-nikahu min sunnati, that the nikah is part of the sunnah, and those who forego it, or not forego it, but the ones who reject it, they're not even from amongst us, in the sense that we as Muslims, we should endeavor to get married, we should endeavor to have children, we should endeavor to grow, and that our reward and in this life and the next life will be through that.
Right.
And I think that we need to kind of bring that back, is that part of being, a good Muslim. Again, I know there's people who want to get married, they can't get married, not everybody has to get married, but we need to understand that it is the sunnah, and it is something that we should try to work towards, and something that we should try to
achieve. Be qualified for.
Yeah, be qualified for, yes.
Which in turn will make you a better Muslim, even if you're single.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. Man, I gotta talk about what's the next topic, bro, for our next video.
Give us some comments.
Yeah,
what do you want us to talk about? We hope you enjoyed. Let us know if you agreed with what we had to say. If we missed anything, I'm sure in this however long this is, we missed a lot of different points. We probably didn't go all out on the women. We probably didn't go all out on the guys. So if you have any other comments or reasons why you think Muslims are single and how we can solve that, solutions, yes, solutions. We would love to hear from you. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, bro.
Thank you, man. It's been a while.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
More to come, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
For sure.
Assalamu alaikum.